Thank you for staying with the Monday Report. Town Hall session begins right now, live from the scenic Sarova White Sands from County 001. We talk about the World Occupational Safety and Health Week as Kenya gears up to join the world in marking the Kenya, not just the Kenya, but the entire globe, World Safety Day on the 28th of April. Let me introduce my guest real quick, and the question we're asking you is, are you safe at work? Do you know what your rights are? At Trevor Mbija at Citizen TV Kenya, use the hashtag Monday Report. Let me introduce my guest real quick, beginning from my left. Dr. Musa Nyandusi is here, Secretary, Occupational Safety and Health, the Ministry of Labor. Thank you so much for making time. We also have Dafin Munde, Trustee and Branch Secretary, KEPAO, which is Kenya Plantation and Agricultural Workers Union. Thank you so much for making time. And Stephen Obiro, Head of Advocacy, Consulting and Partnership at the Federation of Kenya Employers, that's FKE, and an audience of experts and also workers themselves. So they'll also be guiding the conversation in terms of what do they know in terms of their safety, do they know their rights, how much do they know? They say ignorance is no defense, but how much do you know? Let's start from right there, actually, Dr. Nyandusi. And you see, many people are wondering right now when we speak of the Occupational Safety and Health at the Ministry of Labor, which is DOSH, what is your mandate and what exactly do you do?
Good evening, Trevor. It's great to be in Mombasa, and it's great to have an evening of conversation regarding occupational safety and health. My name is Dr. Musa Nyandusi. I am Secretary of Occupational Safety and Health. I'm a medical specialist in the Ministry of Labor. The Directorate of Occupational Safety and Health is a department within the Ministry of Labor, which is charged primarily with the responsibility of ensuring safety and health in all workplaces, both public and private. It's also having a responsibility towards work injury benefits administration. To this end, the department is charged as well as the work injury benefits of the same year, 2007. These two acts are acts that are synergistic to one another, in the sense that the Occupational Safety and Health Act has a responsibility to ensure prevention of accidents and injuries in the workplace, while the Work Injury Benefits Act ensures the compensation and treatment and rehabilitation of workers who get injured or they die in the course of their work. At the department, we have also the National Occupational Safety and Health Policy, which guides the operations of DOSH. We call the Directorate DOSH in short, not DOSHI. We do have 30 offices across the country representing all the 47 counties. So you may find some counties may be represented by one county representing 3, something that in the future we hope to be present in all the 47 counties.
You're currently holding a Safety and Health Week. What do you see as the end game? What is the plan for all this?
Thank you once again, Trevor. The world celebrates. I don't even know whether to use the word celebrate, whether that's the correct word. But the world celebrates the week for safety and health on the week that precedes the World Workers' Day. And specifically culminates on the 28th of April, which is the World Day for Safety and Health. And on this day, we actually commemorate workers who died and who got injured in the course of their employment, and rededicate ourselves towards the effort to ensure safety and health in all workplaces, and commit ourselves to reviewing processes and programs that ensure the safety of workers in the various workplaces. And of course, we take the opportunity, like in this show, to sensitize the public about the need to be safety aware. Hence the theme for this year.
Okay. Let me bring in Dafin on this. And Dafin, you're the trustee for KEPAO, which is Kenya Plantation and Agriculture Workers Union. Where does the challenge lie? Because the people you represent are one of the people who are most at risk at work, because they're dealing with chemicals, there's thorns, there's all sorts of hazardous material around them. Where does the challenge lie? Is it a lack of knowledge in terms of compensation, or is it on the employer's side who don't take care of their people?
Thank you, Trevor. I want to appreciate that you found it crucial to hold this interview today. And I want to say that, first of all, the issue of occupational safety and health is strange to the workers, to the employees, when you talk about safety and health, what is it that is known about the safety of the worker? What is it that the employees know about the health? My brother talks about sensitization.
Yeah.
There's little or none sensitization to the working fraternity.
Yeah.
Our responsibility as a trade union is to ensure that people, through the trainings that we are able to conduct as KOTU, understand what really are the risks, what is safety, what am I supposed to do, what is my responsibility as a worker, and in case I fall, to some danger, then what is the redress?
Yeah.
So technically, our business is to ensure that workers understand what is it all about safety? What is it about, occupational diseases? What is it about risks? And Trevor, I must mention, when we talk about occupational risks, it's very little that is known.
Yeah.
It's a tip of the iceberg. The dangers that workers are exposed to in this country and outside there are actually unknown.
Yeah.
So very little is known, and therefore our business is to ensure that whatever it is that we can do is done through trainings and sensitization. But in terms of our challenge, it is that majority of the employees in this country have not been reached by the government of Kenya.
Okay.
Through either sensitization or some form of information for shortages that we'll be able to highlight in the course of the interview as we proceed.
All right, and I'll come back to you, Dr. Nyandusi, to clarify that issue of why this is strange. But let me bring in Obiro on this. Obiro, is it a matter of little knowledge or desperation? Because there's a big difference there. I couldn't go into a flower farm. I know very well that if I get injured, I need to be compensated, but I have to feed my family. So despite the fact that I know that information, I still go ahead and go right into the farm, despite the hazardous material that is there.
Trevor, let's start from making it clear. There is no employer in this country that takes pride when his workers or her workers are not safe. And so the employers are doing all they can to ensure that the workplaces are safe. And as the Federation of Kenya Employers, whom we engage with our members, the employers, we engage with government, we are the social partners, and we look at what is it that we can do together to ensure that our workplaces remain safe. And that has been always our approach to issues and every employer. When you see where a place, perhaps where we have an accident or where there is a safety issue, is not because the employer woke up one morning and decided this place is going to be unsafe. It's because of perhaps something that is beyond what he could remedy.
Yeah.
But as employers are working, they're the owners of this business, including even the places we are sitting, to ensure that our workplaces are safe.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let me bring in Dr. Nyandusi on this. Is it that people are not aware, or how far does DOSH, which kind of legislation do you administer? Let's demystify that first.
I think, Trevor, that's an excellent question. Maybe I should pick up from where my sister and my brother have left and take you down a short historical journey. The Occupational Safety and Health Act came to be in 2007. Prior to that, we had what we call the Factories and Other Places of Work Act. And prior to that, we had what we call the Factories Act. And as like the name denotes, the Factories Act only applied in factories. Factories and Other Places of Work Act applied in factories and similar settings, mostly in manufacturing.
Yeah.
The 2007 Act in Occupational Safety and Health was a quantum leap in causing safety in the workplace, in the sense that it actually includes all workplaces. So premises like where we are previously would not actually be governed by any form of safety and health legislation. With the coming in of the Occupational Safety and Health Act, all workplaces were recognized as places which have potential risks, and therefore workers' health must be safeguarded. Yeah. In the spirit of that act, it's a very progressive act which does not put the entire responsibility of safety on the employer. Safety is a shared responsibility between the employer and the worker. And therein lies the the real change in this legislation, because in requiring that workplaces must even have safety and health committees that are drawn from both management and workers, it is a very progressive legislation in the sense that it encourages what we call social dialogue.
Okay.
So that a workplace should be able to have an internal system that identifies the inherent risks that are there in the workplace and mitigate them as unique risks that are present in that workplace.
Okay.
And that really is a major change.
Okay.
And in having in place the Safety and Health Committee, that Safety and Health Committee then undertakes training that is specific to that enterprise. You would expect that, for example, if one is in a medical institution or a health institution, the safety and health training would be geared towards the unique risks that are going to be in that setting. If you're in the hotel industry, you would expect that the safety and health training that would be there would be in tandem with what is there in that workplace.
Okay.
And thereafter, with the training, the workers are better informed, and therefore when they come back and have the periodic meetings which the law anticipates them to have, then you're going to be having a more informed workforce that progressively seeks to improve the workplace. This is the principle around which the Occupational Safety and Health Act. It's a principle of shared responsibility.
Okay. And before I bring in the audience and hear what they think the challenges are, talk to me about this, Dr. Nyandusi. Let's get very practical, okay?
Yes.
So there's a difference between the paperwork
Yes.
and things on the ground.
Yes.
So I'm in a factory.
Yes.
I've worked in a factory before. And then I get squeezed by a tobacco carton, which is 200 kgs on my
Yes.
foot.
Yes.
Ideally, I should be having a safety boot.
Yes.
Who should provide that safety boot? Me or the employer?
Now, let me again put things in perspective. I talked about the Occupational Safety and Health Act and the Work Injury Benefits Act. It is difficult to look at each of them in isolation. I also mentioned that the Occupational Safety and Health Act primarily is preventive in nature, and all the programs that are there that are prescribed in the Occupational Safety and Health Act are geared towards prevention. When prevention fails and injury happens, the Work Injury Benefits Act kicks in. So, on the first part of your question, who is responsible for the provision of safety equipment? Your employer is. But as the employer is required to provide you with safety equipment, the worker is supposed to use them. Because we have a bigger problem sometimes when they are provided, and you find, for example, the worker is not using them or not using them appropriately. So that's again a shared responsibility. But now you've gotten to a point where, I want to believe that in spite of all the safety activities and programs that are present in the workplace, the worker has gotten injured. What is his first recourse? The Work Injury Benefits Act, the primary principle on the Work Injury Benefits Act is a principle of you cost it, you pay it. It therefore means that where an injury happens in the course of employment, the employer has a responsibility to take care of the worker when he is injured. And the responsibility starts from first aid, continues to transportation to a health facility, treatment in the health facility, rehabilitation if necessary, and re-entry into work. In the unfortunate event that the worker gets a disability from the injury he sustained, the payment of the compensation. And in the event the worker suffers demise and dies, then again the payment of the workers, the identified workers' dependents, in accordance with the Act.
All right. Dafin and Dr. Nyandusi is explaining this very well, but what are your people hearing? What kind of message do they want to understand? What do they want to hear? Because Dr. Nyandusi is explaining this very well, what the Act details, how the compensation works, whose responsibility lies where, but what would your people want to hear? How would they like that conversation to be broken down?
Thank you, Trevor. First of all, I want to put it clear that Dr. Nyandusi should be accepting that truly they are incapacitated in terms of manpower. That is a challenge that we have in Kenya. Two, they have an issue to do with funding. Yeah? Today, how many officers do we have in Tana River, which is my area?
Yeah.
Today, how many officers are in Malindi? The same office in Malindi is supposed to address the matters of employees that are within Kilifi, which is a very wide county.
Okay.
Now, employees, unfortunately, will be required to wear gumboots or safety boots or masks. They have not been given the information. Why should I wear the mask? Yes? We've had issues in the past, especially when you're dealing with chemicals, where employees want to use, they would demand for milk. What does that tell you? If you're consuming milk, and Dr. Nyandusi can attest to that, then you are technically worsening your situation. What does that tell you? There is no dissemination of information. You are told, wear this, but then you do not understand the purpose.
Yeah.
So sensitization, information is not being disseminated to the employees. And I want to put a challenge to my brother from FKE.
Yeah.
FKE, when we talk about the Federation of Kenya Employers, we are talking about the organized employers. The formal employers, who are actually about 14%. What is it about occupational safety and health? How safe is the Kenyan worker? How safe is that person who really has been, is found in a, let me talk about Mjengo, in a construction site? What is it that we are doing to ensure that that person is safe?
Yeah.
And therefore, when we talk about a worker not being able to use the personal protective equipment, the PPEs, it's that they do not understand. They have not been reached. And actually, I must say, and they will be at liberty to confirm whether I speak the truth or not. The real burden has been lifted and dropped to the trade unions. Why? Because nobody is sensitizing. Dr. Nyandusi talked about the works committees, the safety and the health committees. Workers, today if you ask any worker in this Kenya, do they even understand the composition? Do they even understand what is the work? What is the mandate? What is the responsibility of a safety and a health committee?
Yeah.
If today we had a hosepipe here, can Dr. Nyandusi or my brother here from the Federation of Kenya Employers truly attest in White Sands today, we would have a safety and health committee that would properly and, responsibly handle that pipe.
Okay.
Is it possible?
Okay.
We've been in places and we've seen it go the wrong way.
Okay.
Yeah. So technically, workers are not sensitized. The Department of Occupational Safety and Health is understaffed.
Yeah.
It is underfunded.
Okay.
And they should be talking about it.
Okay.
That's why we are saying we need the department enforced.
Okay.
And enriched to ensure that everybody is reached in this country.
Okay. Dr. Nyandusi, I'll give you a chance to respond, but let me bring in Obiro on this. Obiro, whose role is it to pass this information? Because there's one line that everybody always says, ignorance of the law is no defense. But whose role is it to cascade this information to the people most vulnerable?
Trevor, what Dr. Nyandusi said, one is that if you look at our OSHA Act, it is a shared responsibility. There is the responsibility of the worker, there is the responsibility of the employer, and there is the part that the government plays. All of us have to play our parts together. And I speak for the Federation. What has the Federation done? The Federation has taken initiatives to ensure that we continuously sensitize our members, the members of FKE, the employers, on the issues of safety, the issues of health at workplace. We conduct various trainings because we understand that there is one thing to have a law on paper and to have that law translated into actions. And so we build the capacity of our members for two things: to understand what is required of them, what is their obligation, and at the same time to build their capacity to be able to implement what is required of them at the workplaces. And for me, I take it that that is the approach we should take. Working together to ensure that if the information is to reach the worker, that information is reaching the worker. And for us, we use the workplaces, we use our employers. If you go to most of the employment places, you will get that there are policies that have been put in place, and most of the OSHA policies are very well displayed so that these workers can be able to know what is required of them, what the employers is putting in place to ensure that the workplace is safe. The challenge is if we perhaps take an approach of where we don't take that as our responsibility as people. If you look at the OSHA Act states that the responsibility of safety is not just about the employer, it's also with you as the worker. And you have to start by yourself, educating yourself. There are many programs that the employers run to ensure that this information reaches. There are many programs that the government runs. Let's be clear about this. There is no day we have enough capacity, even for DOSH, to reach everybody, all workplaces in the country. What we need is to be able to build that culture of self-responsibility. You take responsibility yourself. Yeah. You recognize that it is me, if I'm an employer, to ensure that my workplace is safe. If I'm a worker, to ensure that I do what I have to do to support this employer so that our workplace is safe. It has to start with all of us. It is not something that we are going to pass to the government, we are going to pass to the employers, we are going to pass to the workers. It has to be a collective responsibility. And that's where the issues of social dialogue comes in. Social dialogue demands that we sit together and see where are the gaps in our implementation of this Occupational Safety and Health Act. Yeah. Where are the gaps in the implementation of the WIBA, and can we work together to ensure that we come up with actions, different initiatives that are going to help our workplaces become more safe. Okay. And my sister here talked about the 84% that is in the informal sector. FKA has been at the forefront talking to the government and various stakeholders that one thing we need to do in this country is to help the informal sector formalize, is to work with them and let them move from operating informally to become formal ventures. Yeah. It's not about helping the informal sector stays informal. That's not going to help the country. It's to help them move to the formal way where they can now start learning and taking this self-initiative, becoming more responsible in whatever they are doing. Yeah. And that is, for us, that is very important. Okay. And that's the thing we need to move with. Working together, building this culture, so that it becomes our culture. It doesn't become the problem of the employers, the problem of the government, the problem of the workers. It becomes our problem, and we move together as a solution to it.
Dr. Nyendusi, in your view, where does the challenge lie?
Once again, Ben, I think let's start from the premise that this is our country. I think once we internalize this is our country, then whatever solutions that we are proposing have to recognize that we are one, we are actually in the end the same. Actually, even when you talk to the employer, he's a worker too. Yeah. He's the employer, but he's a worker as well. So there is the spirit, and I really want us to look back at how far we've come. Sometimes it's not so evident about how much progress has been made in the sphere of safety and health in this country. There are a number of issues that have been raised, which I think, in all due fairness, I need to maybe respond. Yeah. Number one, our ministry has obviously not been one of the best funded ministries. But that does not mean that work has not been going on. The department has, in the last count as at last year, we had about 73 technical officers. And that stayed like that for almost the last 15 years. Our continued engagement with the Public Service Commission ensured that we actually got a complement of more than double that number in this year. So when we say that, we can't say that we are still where we were. We know that, for example, the registered numbers of businesses in this country that are active are about 144,000. So if you look at the staff complement, it doesn't quite feel like it goes as far as it should. Yeah. But this is a journey. That's the first thing. The second thing is that as a directorate, we are engaging the development partners to be able to leverage on technology. Yeah. Because we know that technology is actually going to give us a deeper reach than we do have currently. I mean, we know that Google is all over the world, yet the Google headquarters has not less than 100 people who actually work there. But we have a phone that actually is an Android phone that is on the palms of billions of people. So the potential of technology in being able to enable us to implement OSH, to be able to allow enterprises to report injuries when they happen, to report their minutes of their meetings when they have it, their trainings when they have them, to be able to, allow us to get access to the audits that are happening out there, the medical examinations that are conducted in workers in hazardous workplaces, is immense.
Yeah.
And we intend to leverage on that in the very short near future, on the engagement that we have. Of course, there is the big question of informality.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that the corona pandemic really did to us was that, number one, a lot of people lost jobs. And when people lose jobs, of course, people move quickly into the informal sector. So there was a large component of casualization and informalization of work. In order for government to be able to deliver programs, it is difficult to deliver programs in an informal setting. And you can see in various sectors, the transportation sector, the agriculture sector, the transportation, you can see people being encouraged to come together in form of cooperatives, in form of associations, including Jua Kali associations. This way, it becomes more organized in the way government can be able to facilitate the access of information in a more organized setting. The informalization and the informal setting becomes very difficult for one to say you're going to have a specific program that can actually reach people, whether you're talking about chemical safety, whether you're talking about safety on the roads when you're in the road sector or any other sector. For as long as you're dealing with it on an informal basis, it becomes very difficult. Your approach may just be limited to the issues of providing information in general terms, without specifically targeting very specific places, which actually gives you a lot of limitation. I look at where we've been and where we are and where we are going. I think whereas it's true that we may not be as many as we would have wished, and we are actually petitioning the Public Service Commission to give us more officers, and they have promised to give us more officers, we feel that we are actually on a trajectory of positive growth.
All right, I'll take a quick break here live from the Sarova White Sands here in Mombasa County 001. We're having a very important conversation because at some point you're probably wondering, as a worker, where do you go in case of injury? How is the family taken care of? This is the conversation you need to come to. After the break, I'll come to the audience, hear their questions and also their comments as well on this. Keep your views coming at Trevor Mbija at Citizen TV Kenya. Use the hashtag Monday Report. See you in just a bit.